Hey there. So it's Wednesday, and I am posting this, and I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel as soon as I get caught up. Some of you know that I work for a medical clinic, and I am the office manager, and I am immune compromised. I fit in pretty much all the categories except cancer. And this virus is serious. I'm pretty tough cookie, and I get nonchalant and, okay, let's not panic unless we have to. And I'm not panicking. But I want to share some information I have from the perspective of an immune compromised person who works for a physician. So I am not a science person. I do not have a medical degree. I am not a nurse. I do not have massive amounts of scientific explanation to draw this from. This is a regular Joe Blow person who happens to I have an energy healing business, but I'm also somebody that's kind of at the front lines because I see all the data that's coming in because my doctor needs that to be able to treat people. But I also take in that information and apply it to myself because I am an immune compromised person. So I have asthma, I have a heart condition, I have celiac, I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and I have chronic inflammatory response syndrome. So all of these things put me in a category of what the hell, right? Okay, so key pieces of information that my doctor has found out, or I have found out through working here, and we've talked about these things. One big piece of information is that you have to stay away from people. Okay? Do grocery pickup where there are people that are working in grocery stores. We want them to work in grocery stores. We want them to work in food delivery. That's great. They need to protect themselves, and we need to protect ourselves. So there are things that each and every one of us can do to help keep that social distancing and keep that isolation. If you have anybody in your family that's got the sniffles, a cold, a cough, whatever, you stay at home, okay? Even if it's the flu, even if it's the cold, please stay home. When you spread those things get somebody who's immune compromised like me sick, and then I can't find off anything else that comes my way. So stay home. That's the first thing. When you go use an app, like first time ever, I used the Target app today. I am so happy with myself. I left my back hatch open, and I had the person put stuff in my back hatch. I didn't have them come to the door. I did not lower my window. I didn't open my passenger door. None of that. And they closed the hatch, and then I drove to my pharmacy, and they brought me my medication. Again, they put it in the back hatch. You can have them put it in the back seat. That's fine. Try really hard not to be within 6 feet of somebody. That really does kind of matter. I drove back to the clinic when I went and got a new pair of gloves. I opened my back hatch with gloves after I sanitized it, and my car is gross because it's Montana. Sanitized the whole back hatch, opened it up. In the back hatch, opened each bag, sanitized every single item as thoroughly. Anything that was in a cardboard box, I took out of the cardboard box, put it in a clean plastic bag that I had prepared outside of the car. And all of that was cleaned and sanitized went into the building. All of the plastic bags that came from the store that had come from somebody, I don't know where they'd been from, cardboard boxes, they all went directly into the dumpster. None of those possibly contaminated items came into the office. Now, those of you that are going to watch this who have biotoxin are going to go, wait a minute, those are all the same precautions we take for biotoxin illness. Yes, they are. Because those precautions keep biotoxin mycotoxins from entering the building. Those same precautions will keep that virus out of your home, okay? The additional thing with this particular virus is that it becomes aerosoled. So if you are sick or you're contaminated, this is a hard one. So put a plastic bag over your toilet seat, not the seat, like the commode, like the throne itself. Put a plastic bag over that, put the seat down, and then flush and leave it there. Fecal matter aerosols into a room and can remain in the room for 4 hours before it settles. And they have found COVID in feces. And there is a New England Journal of Medicine article that talks about it being in stool samples. We don't know if that is what is also spreading it in different places. We don't know for sure. But if you're finding it in fecal samples, we know that that's what happens in bathrooms. So you take plus and minus, and you take 2 pluses and make what you want out of it. I would highly recommend not using public bathrooms, honestly, at this time. When you go to and from someplace, use gloves. Now, gloves are in high demand and they are a medical thing. So you're not going to find them, or if you do have them, you're going to run out. Okay? So we live in Montana. Use your mittens, use your gloves. Don't use leather ones because then you can't throw them in the wash, but use gloves. Make sure that you don't touch anything without gloves. When you come home, you wipe down your doorknobs, your door frames, your car handle, your steering wheel. This stuff sticks to stuff for a little while, so you've got to wipe stuff down. Bleach, disinfectant, ammonia, anything you can get your hands on to really wipe it down. Everclear works. Rubbing alcohol works. Some of these things we've run out of because people went crazy and bought 5 million gallons of it, and so that leaves the rest of us trying to make do. If you don't have any disinfectant, soapy water. Okay, so just a couple drops of Dawn in a bucket and go out to your car and wipe everything down. When you go someplace, if you have to go to a Walmart and you have to go inside and you don't have a choice, I've had a couple of people ask me these questions. These are people who are they feel like they have no other alternative. Okay, there's always an alternative, but some people kind of get trapped in thinking, and I totally understand that. If you have to go someplace, wear gloves, don't touch anybody, don't get close to anybody. At the checkout is the closest you should be able to get to anybody. When you get home, wipe everything down before you go inside, strip your clothes down, throw it in the wash, put it on hot water, and you go take a shower, okay? Like, again, those of you who have biotoxin, you've heard this whole lecture before. The similarities are there. If you have biotoxin, ironically, you are completely prepared for the decontamination process for COVID-19. Hooray, right? I say that with a little bit of sarcasm, but in truth, it has been preparing you for it. The other thing that I want to point out is I just got off a medical call where it was discussed that in California and in Seattle and some of these places, medical doctors have probably been exposed to these. They've been intubating patients. They've been doing all these things for months. So some of these doctors who are starting to get very sick, and there have been cases of doctors dying. These people probably were exposed over a month ago, up to 2 months ago. And we don't have enough testing. We don't have enough testing processes in place. Our infrastructure is not in place to be able to test everybody as we should be doing. Colorado has already started to test as many people as they can possibly get their hands on kits. It's important that we test even if you are not having symptoms. The doctors who know this, by the way, are trying really hard to push, but the infrastructure is not here in the United States. You can blame Trump. You can blame whoever the hell you want to. It's just not there. At this point, let's not blame. Let's find a solution. And there are people trying to find solutions to this, to get testing done and to get it in place. But these doctors and these nurses, going back to that, have been exposed, and some of them have gotten sick from COVID and have recovered, and then have gotten re-exposed and gotten sick again. And it breaks down your entire system with repeat exposure. And if you have access to a doctor who does telemedicine, use them. Do not go into the hospital. Do not go into a medical clinic unless you absolutely have to. They tell you that you need to because they have to listen to your lungs or do an x-ray or whatever. Please be patient. Please be kind to these medical workers. Some of these people are getting exposed repeatedly and will probably get sick, and some of these care workers are going to die. And I am not fear-mongering. This is the reality. Let's hope they don't. I don't want anybody to die. But I also know that our healthcare system is going to be overrun. In Montana right now, we are on the beginning of the curve, and there are people running around partying, hanging out in parking lots. I watched it at Target today. There was a cluster of people out socializing behind a car. It blows my mind. Stop this. Stop it. Go home. Don't use FaceTime. Use the telephone. Talk to people. I get we're social creatures, but stop hanging out in the parking lot and spreading this stuff around. You don't know. You can be a carrier of the virus and shed virus to everybody you interact for 37 days. The science is there. You can be non-symptomatic and sharing with every single person that you encounter for 37 days. Let's think about that math. You might feel fine. Great. What about the 3 other people that you just infected that are not going to feel fine from 7 to 21 days from now? Some people don't show symptoms until they're 20 days down the road, 14, 15, 17 days down the road. So that 17th day down the road, they aren't going to remember that they ran into you at the Target parking lot a month ago. People, get your head wrapped around this. This is serious. We can get past it. We can recover, but we need to pull together as a community. Yes, we need to go into isolation, but isolation doesn't mean beating each other up over social media, ignoring things, and not paying attention to what's really going on. Maybe it's the failing of the American education system. I was a teacher for many years. There were holes in it. I definitely saw that. Maybe we're too busy making sure that we have factory workers that graduate from high school instead of thinking people who can rationalize with science and not just emotions. I don't know what the solution is. I really don't care at this particular point. What I care about is I'm an immune compromised person, and I am dedicated, genuinely dedicated to educating my clients, my doctors, patients, so that we can keep people from getting this, and we can get better. We can get our society better, and we can get back to having a somewhat normal way of life. Life is going to change. It's going to have to. But let's hope that we can get past this without starving to death or all of the other drastic things that could possibly happen with a virus like this. Pandemics have been predicted for a very long time, and people were not paying attention. Oh, it couldn't happen to us. But I don't want to go into the conspiracy theory stuff and the whole doomsday or apocalyptic stuff. That is not a place in this conversation, and I'm not going to have it. If you leave comments about it, I'm going to ignore them. Okay? What I'm talking about is we currently have a problem. We know that there are things that we can do to protect ourselves, and we need to protect not just me, but all of these other people. My physician that I work for has hundreds of clients that are immune compromised. That is her primary patient base. Do you know how many phone calls I have a day talking people off the ledge? I love what I do, but I am terrified as somebody who's immune compromised and also terrified for these patients that I talk to. I don't have absolute confidence that our communities are supportive of these individuals. And some of them are all of them, they're amazing people. Okay. So everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own story. And I really want you to think about this and care for one another and take precautions in your own home. If you have questions, you can message me, you can call me. The doctor I work for is doing telemedicine. So, she's done telemedicine for 5 years or 12 years or however long she's been doing telemedicine for 12 years, but I've been working for her for 4 years. And working into 5? Gosh, my math is really bad all of a sudden. Anyway, the long and the short of it is, she does these. If you want to schedule, you can message me and we can get you scheduled. She does half-hour initial triage appointments. And she is a naturopathic physician. She's very good at what she does. And she saved my life several years ago. So I believe in her. This is not a video to promote just her. There are other physicians that are doing telemedicine. Call them, find out the precautions that you can take, find out what you can do to support your immune system. Call them and find out what the triage process is. Excuse me. I've been talking so long, I'm coughing. Really take care of yourself. Eat good. Drink, stay hydrated. Don't get dehydrated and then run a fever. That is a bad idea. Make sure you're eating as healthy as you can. Make sure that you're doing maybe yoga or meditation, doing some crafting things, maybe reading some good books, catching up on Netflix, doing some gaming, all those lovely things. Being in isolation is hard, and it's hard on everyone. I had to make a very difficult decision in my life. I'm actually living at the clinic because I know I'm in 100% isolation. I know that nobody's going to come into the clinic and expose me. And that is probably the hardest decision I've had to make since 2006. So, I really, really want y'all to think about the choices you're making. Being in isolation is hard. Social distancing is difficult. I get it. But we need to do this as a society and as a people. The world is not all about you. And the world isn't all about me. I'm an immune compromised person, but it's not all about me. I am thinking about all of the people I talk to and all of my friends and all of the people I care about. And I want everybody to stay safe and I want everybody to stay well. And oh my goodness, it's 20 minutes in and I'm crying. So hopefully you don't get to that part. Pass this video, share it. I want people to know that this is serious. But from a regular Joe Blow perspective and from a patient perspective, and somebody who has a little bit of insight to maybe the medical stuff, but I'm not a nurse and I'm not a doctor. So call your health professional, ask good questions, find out what you can do to decontaminate. Maybe other people have better ideas. These are the things that we're recommending to our patient base. Have a beautiful day and blessed be.